The year is 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis. The world holds its breath, closer to annihilation than at any other time in history. This wasn't just a political standoff. This was a direct, existential threat to the American way of life. And out of that terror, a single terrifying question emerged. How do we command and control a war we might not survive? You think the internet was created by a bunch of free-thinking academics looking to share research papers? You are wrong. The internet was born in a military bunker, funded by the US Department of Defense and designed with one terrifying purpose: to survive a nuclear war. And here is the ultimate twist. The man who first dreamed of this indestructible network, the true visionary behind the technology you use right now, was betrayed, forgotten, and erased from history. He is the ghost in the machine. We will reveal his tragic story and answer the big question at the end. The story truly begins on October 4th, 1957. The Soviet Union launches Sputnik, a tiny beeping satellite. It was not a weapon, but the message was clear. The enemy was now ahead, and their reach was global. Panic ripped through Washington, D.C. The military needed a massive technological counterpunch. Their answer? The Advanced Research Projects Agency, or ARPA. This was the government's moonshot factory, a place for radical, outside-the-box thinking. They needed something resilient. The existing system, the telephone network, was the problem. It was a centralized choke point. Take out a few key switching centers and the entire nation goes dark. The military realized that if the Soviets dropped a few well-placed nukes, command and control would vanish. Enter J.C.R. Licklider. Lick was a visionary psychologist, not an engineer. In 1962, he wrote a series of memos about an intergalactic network. He dreamed of a world where all computers could talk to each other. He was the prophet of connectivity. But the military only heard one part of his vision: redundancy. They wanted a network that was redundant by design, a system where if one path failed, the message would instantly find another. This was the ideological battle. Licklider wanted to connect minds. ARPA wanted to preserve military might. ARPA's mandate was clear: build a bomb-proof network. But how? They didn't have the technology. They didn't even have the core concept. They were staring into the abyss of nuclear paranoia, and the key lay in a simple, elegant idea proposed by a humble electrical engineer. That humble electrical engineer was Paul Baran. It was the mid-1960s, and Baran was working for the RAND Corporation, a Cold War think tank. His specific task? How to keep the Strategic Air Command in communication after a first strike nuclear exchange. Baran looked at the centralized network and saw a target. His solution was radical. He called it distributed communication. Instead of one core hub, the network would have multiple paths, like a spider web. No single point of failure. But the real genius was the method of transmission: packet switching. Imagine you have a massive letter to send. Instead of sending the whole thing through one fragile channel, you tear it up into 1,000 small pieces, packets, label them, and send them all via different routes. The phone companies hated it. AT&T, the monolithic phone giant, famously dismissed the idea, saying it would never work. They said the network would be too complicated, the packets would get lost. This was a classic case of an existing power structure rejecting a revolutionary idea because it threatened their very business model. But Baran, backed by ARPA's nuclear fear, pressed on. The decentralized packet switch network was not optimized for efficiency or speed, it was optimized for survival. The key was every single node was a peer. No hierarchy, no central authority. A perfect, bomb-proof communication model. This one feature, Decentralization is the Internet's true DNA. By 1969, the theoretical designs were ready. ARPA contracted the project, now officially called ARPANET, to Bolt, Baran, and Newman, a Boston engineering firm. The goal? Connect 4 university nodes across the American West. The first node was installed at the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, a massive refrigerator-sized machine called the Interface Message Processor, IMP. It was clunky, loud, and utterly revolutionary. The deadline for the first message? October 29, 1969. The 2 sites were UCLA and the Stanford Research Institute, SRI. The message was simple: login. A student programmer named Charlie Klein was at UCLA. He was attempting to log in remotely to the SRI computer. At 10:30 p.m., Klein typed the letter L. A voice on the phone at SRI confirmed, "We got the L." He typed O. "We got the O." He typed G. Pause. Crash. The system failed. It was the perfect metaphor for a technology on the brink, yet just an hour later they tried again. This time, the full message, login, was sent successfully. The ARPANET, the military's bomb-proof communication system, was officially born. The fear had been successfully channeled into innovation. The initial purpose was military-grade resilience, but soon the academic users began to misuse, or rather repurpose, the network. They started sharing notes, trading files, and creating new, unintended applications. The scientists, not the generals, were beginning to shape the network's future. The ideological war for the Internet was shifting. If you're finding this untold history compelling and you want to support more deep dives into the accidental genius that shaped our world, take a second to hit that subscribe button. Let's make sure these stories don't fade into history like the men who created them. The next step was its global takeover. The network was built for giant, impersonal data transfers, but the users had a different idea: personal communication. They were bored. They wanted to chat. This is where the story shifts from military strategy to pure, accidental human brilliance. Meet Ray Tomlinson, a programmer at BBN. His job was to build utilities for the ARPANET. He wrote a little program called SND-MSG, Send Message, which allowed users to leave messages on each other's computers. But what if you wanted to send a message to someone at a different computer? Tomlinson needed a symbol to separate the user's name from the machine's name. He looked down at his keyboard. He needed a symbol that was already on the keyboard, but was unlikely to appear in a person's name or a machine's name. His finger landed on the @ sign. The @ sign. He sent the first ever email in 1971. He couldn't even remember what the message said, maybe QWERTYOP, but he had just created the defining application of the digital age. He was told to keep it a secret. It was a military project after all. But secrets don't last long on a network designed for open communication. The technology started to spread wildly within the academic military communities. Email became the ARPANET's killer app, not file transfer, not bomb-proof communication, but gossip and personal notes. The human element, the desire to connect, had accidentally hijacked the defense system. This shift from military necessity to civilian utility proves the core philosophy of decentralization was right, but for the wrong reason. The network was now too valuable, too useful to be contained. By 1983, ARPANET officially adopted the TCP/IP protocol, the standard language for communication that still runs the Internet today. This was the moment the network officially shed its military skin. The final piece of the puzzle, the World Wide Web, would be provided by a mild-mannered British scientist in Switzerland. Tim Berners-Lee at CERN simply wanted a better way to share information between physicists. He invented the 3 pillars of the modern Internet: HTML, HTTP, and URLs. In 1993, CERN made the web software public domain, free for anyone to use. This was the final, irreversible push into the global mainstream. The network, designed to survive nuclear fire, was now an explosive commercial success. But the core design philosophy, decentralization, has a dark side. A network that cannot be controlled, cannot be censored. This is where the emotional core of the story hits. We now have a platform where truth and lies travel at the same speed. Propaganda, disinformation, cyber warfare. The network's ability to survive an ICBM attack also makes it the perfect breeding ground for anonymous, borderless, and often malicious information campaigns. Was the ability to share everything worth the price of believing nothing? The very structure designed to save American military command became the tool used by adversaries to sow discord and exploit division. The architects of ARPANET never saw this coming. They were solving a Cold War problem, not a 21st century social crisis. Now we return to the man we promised, the architect of distributed communication, Paul Baran. While Licklider got the vision and the BBN guys got the glory, Baran faced a lifetime of rejection. His patent applications were dismissed. He received almost no recognition for his core invention of packet switching. He was the man whose work made the internet possible, yet he was utterly ignored by his contemporaries. Baran died in 2011, having never truly received the credit he deserved. He was the ghost in the machine, a man driven by the terrifying thought of nuclear winter to create the ultimate tool for global communication. The final triumphant twist: we use the internet today because in the 1960s, a few brilliant people were tasked with creating something indestructible. They failed at their primary mission, to build a military command network, but they accidentally created a cultural phenomenon. The internet, born from the fear of death, now a battlefield for truth. We asked, did the invention born of fear make us safer? The answer is still logging in. Tell us what you think. Did the internet's Cold War origins make it too powerful? Share your thoughts in the comments below.